Hey everyone, and welcome back. So here we have our data that we were looking at earlier. When we are trying to figure out a way to get a one representative number to represent a group of numbers, scientists have different ways of doing that. One way that they can use is using the range, which involves the difference between the smallest and the biggest numbers within a certain group. Other times they might use the median, which is the middle number within that group, or the mode, which is the most common number. For our purpose though, we're going to want to use something different, the mean, or the average. The mean is calculated by adding up all of the soil moisture readings and then dividing them by the total number of readings that we have. Luckily for us, Google Sheets does that for us. So it is very easy to do it on Google Sheets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show how we can do this on Google Sheets with this research question. So again, our research question is which type of plant will decompose the quickest and which will decompose the slowest? Water saver plants, water spender plants, or non-native plants? So I know that I'm interested in seeing the percent mass loss for each of those leaf litter bag types. So I'm going to start by creating a table and then using that table to create a graph that will show me how I can go ahead and make some sort of data analysis from our data here. So I'm going to start by clicking on a cell and then typing in average percent mass loss, which is what I'm interested in. And then I'm going to make three different sections for each of our leaf litter bag types. So we have water saver, water spender, and then we have our non-native plants. In Google Sheets and in Excel as well, when you're trying to find the average of a group of numbers, we can do that by using formulas. When I go ahead and go under that cell under water savers, I can go ahead and press the equal sign on my keyboard, and this will tell Excel or Google Sheets that I'm interested in doing some sort of equation. Then I can tell it what I want to do. So I want to create an average of a set of numbers. So I'm going to write average, and then I'm going to write a parentheses. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for all of my water saver data points for percent mass loss and highlight them. So I can go ahead and highlight these, and then I'm going to close the parentheses and press enter. So once I do that, you'll notice that I have one number under the water saver column that shows the average percent mass loss for all of our data points under water saver. I can do the same thing for our water spenders. So I'll go ahead and highlight those, close the parentheses, and get a number. And I'll do again the same thing for our non-native. So I'll go ahead, highlight those, close that parentheses, and enter that. Now, here I have a nice table that can give me a representative number for each one of these leaf litter bag types and what their average mass loss is. So next, I'm going to use this table to create some sort of graph. So how do I create a graph on Google Sheets? Well, it's simple. All I have to do is highlight the areas that I want to create a graph for. So I'm going to highlight my whole table. Then I'm going to go onto Insert, and I'm going to click on Chart. This is going to create a chart in which Google Sheets thinks uses the best type of chart type. So you'll notice here that Google Sheets chose a bar graph for us. So in our bar graph, you can see a bunch of different things that you can use. So first off, we have three different colors on here. So we have a blue bar that represents our water savers, a red bar that represents our water spenders, and then a yellow bar that represents our non-native plants. However, I want to make this graph a little bit more detailed. So the first thing I want to do is I want to update the title. I want to make sure that I know exactly what this graph is telling me. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the title that Google Sheets gave me automatically. And I want to label it something that represents my data. So for us, I'm going to go ahead and use the research question to help me create a title. So I'm going to go ahead and write leaf litter decomposition rate. I also want to go ahead and add different types of axes that will tell me what I'm seeing on each area. Because currently I have an axis with 0 through 4, but I don't necessarily know what that means. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and click on chart title here under the chart and axis. And first off, I'm going to click on horizontal axis title. What this is going to do is down at the bottom, I can now tell Google Sheets what these graphs are for. So the three different bars represent the leaf litter bag type. I can then go ahead and do the same thing for the vertical axis. And the vertical axis, my 0 through 4, represents this number that I calculated for the average percent mass loss. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into there to create a vertical axis and name it average percent mass loss. And then I'll go ahead and click enter. And this will give you a graph that shows a representation of your average percent mass loss for your different types of leaf litter bags. Now that we have created this graph, it is your turn. Create 3 graphs like the one we did together. One that compares our leaf litter decomposition, one that compares our soil moisture data using the soil moisture data in the second sheet, and then one that compares the restoration effects on decomposition using your different plot types under sheet number 3 there. Once you have all of that, you are going to make sure to not forget to save your progress when you're done with your graphs, because we'll want to use those graphs later.